Welcome back, Rare Coin Insider. Imagine holding a small, ordinary-looking coin in your hand, something so common that most people wouldn't even give it a second glance, yet hidden within that tiny piece of metal could be a story stretching across decades, a story of history, craftsmanship, and in rare cases, unimaginable value that can reach figures as high as $119 million. And today we are diving deep into the fascinating world of the 1971 United States 1-cent coin, a coin that at first seems simple, but becomes more intriguing the deeper you go into its details, its origins, and the mysteries surrounding its rare versions. The 1971 penny belongs to a long-running series of coins known as the Lincoln cent, first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, and by the time 1971 came around, this design had already become one of the most recognized and longest-running coin designs in American history, making it not just currency but a symbol of continuity and national identity. The front side of the coin, known as the obverse, features the iconic profile of Abraham Lincoln facing right, a design created by sculptor Victor David Brenner, and even decades later, this portrait remained largely unchanged, carrying with it a sense of tradition and familiarity that collectors deeply appreciate. On the obverse of the 1971 penny, you will notice the word Liberty inscribed to the left of Lincoln's portrait, while the year 1971 appears to the right, and above his head is the national motto, "In God We Trust." All of these elements combining to create a design that is both simple and powerful, reflecting American values and heritage. One small but very important detail that can dramatically affect the coin's value is the mint mark, which tells you where the coin was produced. In 1971, pennies were minted in three main locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins from Philadelphia typically have no mint mark. Denver coins carry a small D, and San Francisco coins are marked with an S, and each of these can have different levels of rarity depending on production numbers and surviving condition. Turning the coin over to the reverse side, you will find the classic Lincoln Memorial design, which had been in use since 1959. This design features a detailed depiction of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., and if you look very closely at well-preserved examples, you can even see a tiny representation of Lincoln seated inside the memorial, an incredible level of detail for such a small coin. Above the memorial, the words, "United States of America," are inscribed, along with the motto, "E pluribus unum," meaning, "out of many, one," while the denomination, 1 cent, is prominently displayed below the building. Now let's talk about the physical properties of the 1971 penny, because even these seemingly minor details play a huge role in determining value. The coin has a standard weight of 3.11 grams and is composed primarily of copper, specifically 95% copper and 5% zinc and tin, a composition that was standard for pennies before changes were made in the 1980s. This high copper content not only gives the coin its rich reddish-brown color, but also makes it heavier compared to modern pennies, which are mostly zinc with a thin copper coating. The diameter of the coin is 19 millimeters, and it has a smooth edge, meaning there are no ridges like you would find on quarters or dimes. At first glance, millions of these coins were produced, so you might think there is nothing particularly special about a 1971 penny, and in most cases, that is true. Billions of pennies were minted that year, especially in Philadelphia and Denver, meaning the majority of them are still only worth their face value or slightly more if they are in excellent condition. However, the real excitement begins when we start looking at rare variations, minting errors, and exceptionally well-preserved coins, because these are the pieces that can turn an ordinary penny into something extraordinary. Collectors are always on the lookout for coins that stand out from the norm, and in the case of the 1971 penny, certain factors can dramatically increase its desirability. For example, Coins that have never been circulated and still retain their original mint luster are considered much more valuable than those that have been worn down through everyday use. These uncirculated coins are often graded by professional services, and the higher the grade, the higher the potential value. A coin graded at the very top levels, such as MS-67 or higher, can be extremely rare because so few coins survive in such pristine condition. But condition alone is not the only thing that matters. Mint errors can make a coin incredibly valuable, and these errors occur during the production process when something goes wrong, resulting in a coin that is different from the standard design. Examples include double die errors, where the design appears double due to a misalignment during the striking process, off-center strikes, and even coins struck on the wrong type of metal. These rare mistakes are highly sought after by collectors because they are unique and often exist in very limited numbers. Now, when we talk about a 1971 penny being worth up to $119 million, it is important to understand that this figure represents an extremely rare and almost legendary scenario, likely involving a one-of-a-kind error or a coin with extraordinary historical significance combined with perfect condition. While most 1971 pennies will never reach anywhere near this value, the possibility alone is enough to keep collectors searching through rolls of coins, old jars, and forgotten collections, hoping to discover that one hidden treasure. The thrill of coin collecting lies in this very possibility, the idea that something so small and overlooked could hold immense value, both financially and historically. And the 1971 penny perfectly captures this sense of mystery and excitement. Each coin carries with it a story of the time it was made, the people who used it, and the journey it has taken over the years. And for collectors, that story is just as important as the monetary value. As we go deeper into this topic, we will uncover even more fascinating details about the rare variations, the specific errors that collectors are searching for, and the real market prices these coins can achieve today, because the truth behind their value is even more interesting than the myths that surround them. As we continue deeper into the story of the 1971 1-cent coin, the real intrigue begins when we separate myth from reality and start examining what actually makes certain versions of this coin valuable. Because while headlines about massive prices like $119 million capture attention, the true value of a coin is determined by a combination of rarity, condition, demand, and most importantly, unique characteristics that set it apart from billions of others produced in the same year. One of the most important factors that collectors analyze is the mint mark, because each mint facility had different production numbers and quality standards. The Philadelphia Mint, which produced coins without a mint mark, created the largest quantity of pennies in 1971, meaning these are the most common and typically the least valuable unless found in extraordinary condition. The Denver Mint, marked with a D, also produced a very large number of coins, but in some cases, slightly better strike quality can make certain Denver coins more desirable. Then, there is the San Francisco Mint, identified by an S, which is particularly interesting because it produced both circulation coins and proof coins, and this is where things start to get exciting for collectors. Proof coins are specially made for collectors using polished dies and planchets, resulting in a mirror-like finish and sharp details that stand out beautifully. The 1971 S-proof penny is often found with a deep cameo contrast, where the background appears highly reflective while the design elements look frosted, and coins with strong cameo or deep cameo effects can command significantly higher prices than regular proof coins. These proof coins were never intended for circulation, so finding one in perfect condition is more common than with regular coins, but achieving the highest possible grades is still rare and valuable. Now let's talk about one of the most exciting aspects of coin collecting, and that is mint errors, because this is where ordinary coins can suddenly become incredibly valuable. In 1971 pennies, collectors have identified several types of errors that can dramatically increase value. One of the most well-known is the double die obverse, where certain parts of the design, especially the lettering like Liberty or In God We Trust, appear slightly duplicated. This happens during the die creation process and results in a coin that looks subtly but noticeably different from standard versions. Another type of error that collectors search for is off-center strikes, where the coin is not properly aligned during minting, causing part of the design to be missing or shifted. The more dramatic the off-center strike, the more valuable the coin can be, especially if the date is still visible. There are also clipped planchets, where a portion of the coin is missing due to a cutting error, and broad strike errors, where the coin spreads out because it was struck without the proper retaining collar. Each of these errors creates a unique coin that stands out from the rest, and rarity combined with visual appeal can push prices much higher than normal. But beyond errors, condition remains one of the most powerful factors in determining value. Coins are graded on a scale that ranges from heavily worn to perfect mint state, and even a small difference in grade can result in a huge difference in price. For example, a typical circulated 1971 penny might only be worth 1 or 2 cents, but a coin graded MS65 or higher could be worth significantly more, and at the very top levels, such as MS67 or MS68, prices can rise dramatically because so few coins exist in such pristine condition. These top-grade coins are often preserved carefully from the moment they are minted, avoiding scratches, discoloration, or any form of wear. Color also plays a crucial role in value, something that many beginners overlook. Copper coins, like the 1971 penny, are categorized by color into 3 main types: red, red-brown, and brown. Red coins retain their original bright copper color and are the most desirable, especially in high grades. Red-brown coins show some signs of aging, while brown coins have fully toned over time. A high-grade red coin can be worth many times more than a similar coin that has turned brown, even if all other factors are the same. Now let's address the idea of extreme values like $119 million, because this is where critical thinking becomes essential. For a coin to reach such an astronomical price, it would need to be something truly extraordinary, far beyond a typical mint error or high-grade example. It would likely have to be a one-of-a-kind piece, possibly struck on the wrong metal, such as a planchet intended for another denomination, or even a previously unknown experimental issue with historical significance. Coins that reach into the millions are usually famous rarities with well-documented histories, and even then, prices above 100 million are almost unheard of in the coin world. So, while it is technically possible for a coin to achieve an incredible value under the right circumstances, it is important not to assume that every 1971 penny has hidden millions waiting to be discovered. This is where many people make a mistake, believing viral claims without understanding the realities of the coin market. However, this does not make the search any less exciting, because even finding a coin worth a few hundred or a few $1,000s can be a thrilling experience, especially when it comes from something as common as pocket change. Collectors often search through rolls of pennies obtained from banks, a practice known as coin roll hunting, looking for rare dates, mint marks, and errors. Others explore old collections passed down through generations, where coins may have been stored away for decades, untouched and preserved in surprisingly good condition. Sometimes, valuable coins are discovered in the most unexpected places, from old jars to forgotten drawers, proving that treasures can be hiding in plain sight. The 1971 penny continues to hold a special place in the world of coin collecting because it represents both abundance and possibility. It is a coin that millions of people have seen, yet only a few truly understand its potential. Whether you are a seasoned collector or someone just starting out, this coin serves as a reminder that value is not always obvious, and sometimes, the smallest objects can carry the biggest surprises. As we move forward, we will dive even deeper into the collector market, real auction prices, and the specific rare examples that have made headlines, revealing what these coins are actually selling for today and what you should be looking for if you want to find one of these hidden gems. Now, as we move further into the real-world market of the 1971 1-cent coin, this is where things become even more practical and revealing. Because beyond the theories, myths, and viral claims, there are actual auction records, collector behaviors, and pricing trends that show exactly how these coins perform in today's market. And understanding this part is what separates a casual observer from someone who truly knows what they are looking at. In most everyday situations, a 1971 penny that has been circulated, meaning it has passed through hands, pockets, and transactions over the years, would usually hold a value very close to its face value, sometimes slightly higher due to its copper content, but generally not anything extraordinary. These coins are extremely common, and because billions were produced, supply far outweighs demand. However, once you step into the world of uncirculated coins, especially those preserved in original mint condition, the story begins to change. Coins graded in the mid to high mint state range, such as MS-63 to MS-65, can already start to attract collector interest, particularly if they have strong luster and minimal marks. But the real jump in value happens at the very top of the grading scale, where coins graded MS-66, MS-67, or higher become significantly rarer. At this level, even a small detail like a cleaner surface or sharper strike can make a noticeable difference in price, and collectors are often willing to pay a premium for these near-perfect examples. Some high-grade 1971 pennies have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on their exact condition and color classification. When it comes to proof coins from San Francisco, the market can be even more interesting. A standard 1971s proof penny might be relatively affordable, but those with deep cameo contrast, where the frosted design stands out dramatically against a mirror-like background, can command much higher prices, especially if they receive top grades from professional grading services. These coins are often stored carefully from the moment they are issued, but achieving a flawless grade is still rare, which is why collectors are willing to pay more for the best examples. Now let's focus on error coins again, but this time from a market perspective, because this is where some of the most surprising values appear. A noticeable double die error, even if it is subtle, can significantly increase a coin's value, especially if it is verified and graded. Off-center strikes that are visually dramatic and still show the date clearly can also fetch impressive prices, sometimes reaching hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on how unique they are. Other errors, like clipped planchets, die cracks, and misaligned dies all contribute to the diversity of collectible 1971 pennies, and each one has its own level of desirability. There have even been cases where collectors discovered coins struck on the wrong planchet, meaning the coin was made using a metal blank intended for a completely different denomination. These types of errors are extremely rare and can be worth a significant amount of money because they are essentially mistakes that were never supposed to leave the mint. When such coins appear at auction, they often attract intense bidding from collectors who recognize their uniqueness. But now let's address the most eye-catching claim of all, the idea of a 1971 penny being worth $119 million, because this is where it becomes important to apply logic and a realistic understanding of the coin market. In the entire history of coin collecting, only a handful of coins have ever reached prices in the tens of millions, and those are usually famous, one-of-a-kind historical pieces with well-documented stories, such as extremely rare early American coins or unique minting errors that are known worldwide. For a 1971 penny to reach such a value, it would need to be something completely extraordinary, beyond anything commonly known or documented. So, while it is exciting to imagine such a possibility, and while it keeps the dream alive for collectors searching through their coins, the reality is that most valuable 1971 pennies fall within a much more realistic range, from a few dollars for high-quality examples to several hundred or even thousands for rare errors or top-grade coins. And that does not make them any less fascinating, because the journey of finding such a coin, understanding its features, and recognizing its value is what truly makes coin collecting rewarding. Another important aspect to consider is how collectors determine authenticity and value. Professional grading services play a huge role in this process, as they examine coins under magnification, assign them a grade, and encapsulate them in protective holders. This not only preserves the coin, but also provides confidence to buyers and sellers in the market. Without proper authentication, it can be difficult to achieve high prices because collectors need assurance that what they are buying is genuine and accurately described. The collector community itself also plays a major role in shaping the value of coins. Trends can change over time, and certain types of coins or errors may become more popular as new collectors enter the market or as new discoveries are made. Online marketplaces, auctions, and coin shows all contribute to the dynamic nature of coin values, making it a constantly evolving field where knowledge and timing can make a big difference. What makes the 1971 penny particularly interesting is that it sits at the intersection of common and rare, ordinary and extraordinary. On one hand, it is a coin that millions of people have handled without a second thought, and on the other hand, it holds the potential for rare variations that can capture the attention of serious collectors. This dual nature is what keeps people searching, examining, and learning, because every coin has the possibility of being something more than it appears. And perhaps the most powerful idea behind all of this is that value is not always visible at first glance. A coin that looks completely ordinary could, under closer inspection, reveal details that make it special, whether it is a subtle doubling in the lettering, an unusual strike, or a level of preservation that is rarely seen. This is why experienced collectors take their time, study each coin carefully, and develop the skills needed to spot these hidden features. As we reach the final stretch of this deep dive, we will bring everything together by exploring practical tips on how you can identify valuable 1971 pennies yourself, what tools you might need, and how to avoid common mistakes that many beginners make when entering the world of coin collecting. As we move into the final part of this deep exploration, everything now comes down to you, because knowing the history, design, rarity, and market value of the 1971 1-cent coin is only truly powerful if you can apply that knowledge in real life, and this is exactly where most people either miss an opportunity or discover something incredible without even realizing it. The first and most important habit to develop is observation, because valuable coins rarely announce themselves loudly. At a quick glance, a rare 1971 penny can look almost identical to a common one, so the difference lies in the details. When you pick up a coin, start by examining the date and mint mark. Look closely at the numbers in 1971 and the area around the letters in Liberty and In God We Trust. If anything looks slightly doubled, blurred, or unusual, that could be your first sign of a potential double die error. Even a small amount of doubling can be significant if it is genuine. Next, pay attention to the alignment of the design. If the coin appears off-center, where part of the design is missing or shifted toward one side, you could be looking at an off-center strike. The key here is whether the date is still visible, because coins with a clear date and a dramatic off-center strike are much more valuable than those where the date is completely missing. These are the types of coins that stand out immediately once you train your eye to recognize them. Another crucial factor is surface condition. Hold the coin under a light and tilt it slowly. A high-quality coin will reflect light evenly and show a strong, original luster. If the coin still has a bright reddish color, it falls into the red category, which is the most desirable. If it appears darker or brown, it has oxidized over time, which is natural but reduces its premium value. Scratches, spots, and discoloration can all lower a coin's grade, so the cleaner and more untouched it looks, the better. Using basic tools can significantly improve your ability to identify valuable coins. A simple magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe allows you to see details that are invisible to the naked eye. Many collectors use magnification to inspect lettering, edges, and surfaces for tiny imperfections or unique features. Proper lighting is also essential, because shadows and reflections can reveal details that you might otherwise miss. Now, one of the biggest mistakes beginners make is assuming that every old coin is valuable, and this is where you need to stay realistic and analytical. Age alone does not determine value. A 1971 penny is over 50 years old, but because so many were produced, most are still very common. The real value comes from rarity, condition, and uniqueness. If a coin does not have any special features or is heavily worn, it is unlikely to be worth more than a small amount. Understanding this helps you avoid disappointment and keeps your expectations grounded. At the same time, you should never ignore a coin without checking it carefully, because valuable pieces are often overlooked simply because people assume they are ordinary. Many collectors have found rare coins in everyday change, bank rolls, or old collections that had been sitting untouched for years. This is why patience and consistency are key. The more coins you examine, the better your chances of finding something unusual. If you believe you have found a potentially valuable 1971 penny, the next step is verification. Avoid cleaning the coin at all costs, because cleaning can damage the surface and significantly reduce its value. Instead, keep it safe in its original condition and consider having it evaluated by a professional grading service. These experts can confirm whether the coin is genuine, identify any errors, and assign an official grade, which can greatly increase its market credibility. Selling a valuable coin also requires strategy. Some collectors prefer to sell through online marketplaces, while others choose auctions or coin dealers. Each option has its pros and cons, but the key is to understand the true value of your coin before selling it. Research similar coins, check recent sales, and if possible, get multiple opinions. This ensures that you do not undervalue something that could be worth much more. Now, coming back to the idea of extreme values, like $119 million, this is where you should keep a balanced mindset. While it is important to dream big and stay curious, it is equally important to stay informed and realistic. The chances of finding a coin worth that amount are extremely low, but the journey of searching, learning, and discovering is what truly makes this hobby rewarding. Even finding a coin worth a few $100s can feel like a huge achievement when you understand how rare and special it is. The 1971 penny teaches a powerful lesson that goes beyond coin collecting. It shows that value is often hidden beneath the surface, waiting to be discovered by those who are willing to look closely and think critically. It reminds us that even the smallest and most ordinary can carry stories, history, and potential far greater than we imagined. So, the next time you come across a handful of coins, don't just spin them without a second thought. Take a moment, look carefully, and ask yourself what might be hidden in plain sight, because sometimes the difference between something worthless and something valuable is simply knowledge and attention. And who knows, maybe one day, you might be the person who discovers a coin that changes everything. And now, as everything comes together, the story of the 1971 1-cent coin becomes something much bigger than just metal, weight, or numbers, because what you really have in your hands is a piece of time, a silent witness that has traveled through decades, passed from person to person, through shops, pockets, banks, and forgotten jars, carrying with it a journey that no one can fully trace. Yet every mark, every scratch, every shine tells a part of that story. Think about it for a moment. This small coin was minted in 1971, a completely different era, long before smartphones, social media, or the digital world we live in today, and yet it has survived, unchanged in its identity, still bearing the same portrait, the same words, the same purpose, and somehow it has made its way into the present, into your hands, into your attention, and that alone makes it more than just currency. But beyond its story, beyond its history, there is still that lingering question that keeps collectors, dreamers, and everyday people curious. What if this one is different? What if this is not just another common penny? What if hidden within its surface is something rare, something unique, something that turns it from a simple coin into a life-changing discovery? That question is what fuels the entire world of coin collecting, because it keeps the excitement alive. It turns ordinary moments into treasure hunts, and it gives meaning to something most people overlook. You now understand the design, the weight of 3.11 grams, the copper composition, the Lincoln portrait, the memorial on the reverse, the importance of mint marks like no mint mark D and S, the role of condition, the significance of red versus brown color, and the power of minting errors like double dies and off-center strikes. And with all of this knowledge, you are no longer just someone holding a coin, you are someone who can read it, analyze it, and truly understand what it might be worth. And this is where perspective matters most, because while the idea of a $119 million penny sounds almost unreal, the truth is that value is layered, and even if your coin is not worth millions, it can still be worth something meaningful, something exciting, something that connects you to a global community of collectors who see beauty and potential in the smallest details. The real treasure is not always the price, but the discovery, the knowledge, and the thrill of finding something special where others see nothing. There is also a deeper lesson hidden in all of this, something that goes beyond coins and collecting, and it is the idea that not everything valuable is obvious. In life, just like with this 1971 penny, the most important things are often overlooked, underestimated, or ignored, simply because they appear ordinary on the surface. But when you take the time to look closer, to understand, to learn, that is when true value reveals itself. So whether you are searching through old coins, checking your pocket change, or exploring collections passed down through generations, remember that every coin has a story, every detail matters, and every discovery begins with curiosity. The 1971 penny is not just about money, it is about awareness, patience, and the willingness to see what others miss. And maybe, just maybe, the next time you hear the soft clink of coins in your hand, you won't ignore it, you won't rush past it, you will pause, you will look closely, and you will realize that in a world full of distractions, sometimes the smallest things hold the greatest surprises, waiting quietly for someone like you to notice them, to understand them, and to uncover their true worth.